They knew, and they walked off the floor because they knew. They didn't wait for the, and they just left. Like, no, they knew that it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a little crazy. There were a lot of half court, full court buzzer beaters yesterday. Across in college. Arizona State beat Arizona with a half court shot.
Yeah. She'll be fine. Michael won't start the service.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
right. Michael will leave. Yeah, I heard that was no, yeah.
He's 7'1",
I was
so
gonna go.
it's a tall dude.
Tom Hanks is when I saw him,
You got a lot of years left in you. Yeah, because you work out.
Is this someone's, or should I file it away? Filing it away. Yeah, they're like, I've had it. We're singing about tongues in church. I don't go to that kind of church.
She has a solo.
She's recording.
That's what we're guessing.
We talked to some previous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll stand the two up between your legs. You can't pick the ball up like this. Yeah, they shouldn't need to.
No.
Yeah. Picky about when she's here. This way and back. Oh my Oh my goodness.
Good morning.
Morning.
And on this first Sunday of Lent, welcome to the Guilford Community Church. If you are seated near the center of the aisle, please sign our registration book. And if you're visiting and would like to be included on our email list, please include your email when you sign in. The beautiful flowers under the cross are given by Carolyn Ames in memory of her husband David, and celebrating the birthday of two beautiful women, Brenda Nelson and Chris Blackwelder. Immediately following our worship service, please join us downstairs for coffee hour. This morning's coffee hour is hosted by our facility committee. And while you're down there, you can sign up for Gales Night Out and St. Patrick's Day Supper. And there, also during coffee hour, there'll be a bylaw discussion. If you have questions about the bylaws, that will take place in conference room B. And we do have a meet and greet planned that will meet in Conference Room A. If you would like to learn a little bit more about the church, please join us in Conference Room A. And then immediately following our worship service next Sunday, there will be a special meeting to vote on the proposed bylaws. I think that's it. Just take a moment to reflect on why we've gathered here today. Thank you, Judy and Carolyn. Please stand and join me in our call to worship. We gather here to celebrate life's beauty, to honor our kinship with each other and with the earth,
and to create a more compassionate world, beginning with ourselves.
and remain standing as we sing together hymn number 8, Praise to the Living God.
Whose word brought forth the
Please be seated and join me in a word of prayer. On this gray but snowy morning, we give thanks for this place, a place where we experience love and acceptance. As we begin this Lenten journey, may we be honest with the things we struggle with. May our time together, may it renew us. May it help us to live more courageously, with a greater sense of purpose and joy, so that, like Jesus did in his time, we might bring light to our world. And now we repeat the prayer that he taught his disciples, a prayer that began with these words: Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Our scripture this morning is from Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 11. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread. But he answered, It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone. Jesus said to him, Again it is written, Do not put the Lord your God to the test. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to him, All these I will give to you, if you will fall down and worship me. Jesus said to him, Away with you, Satan, for it is written, Worship the Lord your God and serve only him. Then the devil left him, and suddenly angels came and waited on him. Here ends the reading.
Okay, I'm not Cindy. This is a piece called Shore on the Shining Night by Samuel Barber, arranged for trumpet and piano. It has a very meditative ending, so don't feel like you need to clap afterwards. You can just kind of think about it. But you will want to clap after the choir piece. That's Every Time I Feel the Spirit, which is arranged by William Dawson, who was an American black composer who an arranger who arranged a lot of spirituals and kind of brought them into the concert hall. So this is Shore on the Shining Night.
spoke. Out of his mouth came fire and smoke. Looked all around me, it looked so fine, till I asked my Lord if all was mine. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. The Jordan River is chilly and cold. It chills the body, but not the soul. There ain't but one train upon this track. It runs to heaven and right back. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, the Spirit moving in my heart. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
Thank you, choir, and thank you, AJ. Those pieces were beautiful. I do have a couple of people I would ask you to keep in your thoughts this morning, and as you keep them in your thoughts and hold them in your heart, ask how you might respond. Jack Lacombe is now at Concord Hospital being treated there, and Bob Smith was sent home from Concord Hospital and is now doing rehab at Golden View. So let us take a moment in silent prayer. Having taken a moment to think of others, we now take a moment and think of ourselves. May we do the hard work that would make us more kind and tolerant toward one another and with all with whom we share this globe. When opportunities present themselves, as they will each day, may we be ready to lend a helping hand. May someone's life be a little easier, more joy-filled by what we say or do. And may we leave a kinder and fairer earth than the one we received. May we always be willing to do the work necessary on our own hearts so that old wounds might be healed and joys cherished. We gather here because we aspire to be a people of an active faith. May we always live with the conviction that together we can make a difference. This is our prayer. Amen. And now stand as we sing together a Lenten hymn, hymn number 202, O God, How We Have Wandered.
Amen.
Thank you, Stacy. I have a note from Stacy that says, I found a $100 bill in the parking lot. Please see me after church if you lost it. Stacy will be in the foyer. Of course, there was no $100 bill. But the gospel story deals with temptation or testing. And if you're like me, when you think of temptation, you probably think of those personal moral conundrums. Do I declare all my income on my taxes? Should I work out or sleep in? Do I dare to have ice cream and the cake? Or maybe, and I certainly hope not, but maybe someone here was tempted to say, you know, I might have dropped that $100 bill in the parking lot. Each year, Lent comes along, and some churches encourage people to give up things that are bad for us, or to take on things that might be good for us, as if the most serious temptation in life were to drink too much scotch, or to eat too much fat, or stay in bed on Sunday morning. And then on the first Sunday of Lent, we always read the story that May shared with us, Jesus and the temptation by the devil. And every single year I struggle with this story, for it's a tale so overladen with mythical elements. It's sometimes difficult to get to the question we should ask of any biblical passage. What does this story ask of me or ask of us? If a story doesn't beckon us inside, provoke or prod us a bit, challenge or comfort us, it may not be worth the time it takes to read it. And this story, like so many stories in the Bible, is difficult to take seriously because at first glance it seems so far removed from the world as we know and experience it. Now, some of you here may believe in the devil or Satan, but I don't. And I have never once in my life been tempted to turn a stone into a loaf of bread. I never ever have thought about testing God or gravity by jumping off a high building. But maybe when you peel away the mythical elements, this story might be insightful. It might help us understand temptation in a better, larger way. And world literature is filled with stories just like this one, where the hero is tested and tried. And when we hear those stories outside of the Bible, we are never, ever tempted to take them literally. We know they're stories with a point to be made. The Buddha was tested by the demon Mara. Mara tempted the Buddha with political and economic power and the promise of great fame. But just like Jesus, the Buddha resisted. And at the heart of all of these stories, some questions surfaces. Questions like, what would a good life look like? What is important to us? What kind of person do we want to be? And all of those tests that the hero faces are stories about vocation, not stories about private morality. About 2 months ago, I made my way up to Carol Stafford's hospital room. And as I climbed the stairway, I had this thought. It's hard to imagine a world without Carol Stafford in it. Carol's life made a huge difference to so many people. But then I realized that each of us have people who feel the same way about us and whose world will be diminished one day when we are no longer in it. Every single one of us, Matt and Warren included. Every single one of us is someone's hero. A couple of weeks ago, I read a wonderful quote by St. Augustine. People go forth to wonder at the heights of mountains. They stand in awe of the huge waves of the sea, the broad flows of the mighty rivers, the vast compass of the ocean, the courses of the stars above. Yet they pass by themselves without wondering or gasping in awe. So a question to think about. When was the last time you stood in awe of yourself? Traditionally, Lent has been a season that reminds us how bad we are, how far short we fall. But what if the church was a place that invited us to ponder seriously just how wonderful we are? What if our challenge wasn't to be more like Jesus or Buddha, but simply to be the best Michael or David or Laurel or Mary or Barbara or Bob that we could be? What if sin and temptation, despite how we commonly talk about them, aren't really about chocolate cake and $100 bills, but about character and the kinds of people we want to be? What if the Lenten challenge wasn't what do we give up, but what should we give ourselves to? And what if the only thing that really mattered was, are we being true to the passions of our hearts? Now, I don't often use the word salvation, but it is a common word in the Christian vocabulary. But what does it mean to be saved? Today, when most Christians use that word, it has something to do with heaven. Salvation is the ultimate exit strategy. But in biblical times, it had nothing to do with heaven. It was a word that simply meant wholeness, health, and wellness. And believe it or not, for most of the history of the Bible, heaven didn't even exist. Think about that. Heaven is a late invention in the Bible. So what if sin and temptation was anything that robs us from life here and now? Anything that prevents us from living authentically? Any act that interferes with love and the opening of ourselves to others? Anything that interferes with the evolutionary impulse toward a greater, more noble, more joyous humanity? And so maybe the only question that really matters is, what kind of people do we want to be? And then, have I been the best pastor, the best father, husband that I could possibly be? I'm not called to be Ray Wixson or Rick Warren or Joel Osteen. I'm simply called, as all of us are called, to be the most authentic person we could possibly be. The real work of our life is to be awakened and then to answer the call that only we can answer. I've used this quote dozens of times over my career, but I still love it. It's a quote from Mary Oliver. When it's over, I want to say, all of my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. And when it's all over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened and full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. To be the real hero of our lives is to give ourselves wholly to that which life calls us to. So may we find the courage to be authentic, and may each of us live married to amazement and awakened to the wonderful possibilities and the wonderful, wonderful gifts that life has bestowed on each of us. Amen. Now stand as we close this service singing our insert, "In the Midst of All of Our Living." Now, having gathered together for worship, may we go forth with a great sense of joy, purpose, and peace, and may our choices be worthy. Amen.
Thursday, dude.
Thursday, yep.
Be there or be square.
Good job there.
Oh, boy, it's a make it or break it for me.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks, Irene. Nice job today.